general discussion about board docs. I don't know where we want to go with this information tonight, other than I've seen it come forward from individual board members. Can we talk about board docs and why there are some things that are posted for the board members to see and the public cannot see? I know we've tried to put out information about why that is. There are some things related to confidentiality and things like this. We do have the solicitor here, thankfully. But with that, I'm going to open the floor for just a general discussion. I don't know if we're going to be able to fix or answer the whole board docs question, but let's at least get the conversation started and see where it goes. So with that, I'll just open the floor about board docs, because I know there's a couple of you who have asked.
Yeah, Tim, what's your home number again? Where is it? For me, it's just a matter of just learning it. I have to learn something new.
Okay, I'm good with that one.
That's my fault. That's not anybody else's fault. That's me. It should be
No,
able to learn something new.
I think part of it is that I'm not in the public when I look at the board docs, so it's hard for me to wrap my head around this, but I think there are two places to go into board docs from the public. The board members can go in through a tab called Authenticate, correct? Which gives them, why don't you just bring it up? Which gives board members only additional access to the information that's coming forward at a board meeting. What is that information? It's all the information that we're talking about here tonight. It's policy, it's personnel, it's student services, it's the things basically that are going to be on the agenda, so to speak. Okay. So let me just finish my thought with that. So two ways people can go in. If you're on the board, you can authenticate, you have more rights to see more information. If you are a taxpayer and you're in the public, you can't go into that site. That's only for board members to review information before it comes forward for the board as a whole to take action on. People in the public sector can come in as a public person and see limited information. Agenda, what am I missing other than the agenda? The motion that's going to be read. And I think the question has become, why can't people in the public see more information? One of the examples I heard was when we're looking at policy. And if we're reviewing policies, why can't people in the public sector see those policies to be able to give input? Is that one of the examples we keep hearing about? Okay.
Yeah.
And I think the generic answer to that is, and this is where I'm going to look to you guys for help, I think the generic answer is because we're giving it to the board, and the board has to have first crack at this, because the board basically represents the public, and it is their job to look at those things and come up with a consensus before it comes forward publicly. Is that a fair?
Bill, that's right. The other thing is that even before the board, before we look at it as a whole, the policy committee takes it. We get it from, let's say we get the language from the PSBA, and we look at it. Before we bring it forward, we send it to Mr. Sinnott, and he or one of his colleagues gives their approval on the PSBA language, and they might tighten it up. We might just adopt it verbatim. And then we bring it to this meeting, we read it to you in a first and final reading, and then we approve it during the board meeting. So we're not, I think it would be wise for us not to put information out there that hasn't even been reviewed by our solicitor yet, which is why we have all of the policies that are available on board docs are up. And then the policies that are currently under construction or active or retired, mostly the active that we're working on, those haven't necessarily been approved yet by the solicitor, been approved by the board. That's why they're not out there for the public. No sense in putting information out there that might not be 100%. Not that it's not correct, but we haven't approved it.
So if you wanted, oh, sorry.
Good.
If you wanted to post it after first reading, I mean, that might be a good, you still have the opportunity to change it.
Yeah, we don't post it though, am I correct? It's loaded by PSBA.
Right, once the board approves a policy change at the board meeting at the end of the month, that is sent to PSBA, and PSBA posts it into board docs. Then they contact Linda that it is posted and up, and then we send out an email internally to district administration saying, please review these policies, they've been board approved, and it becomes active through PSBA on board docs for everyone to see after the board.
Why did they do it?
Well, actually, they have to go in, and whatever changes are made to a policy, they actually go in and do the clerical piece on their end, because it's all done in cooperation with PSBA. Then when I contact them, they take all the changes, they fix them, they make it look pretty, they send it to me, I go in, I retire the old policy, and I put in the date of the approval of the new policy, and make it active so everybody can see it. And that's when I send the email out to everybody to say, these are all now active.
Okay, so you're actually, we're doing it, still doing it here, we're not letting somebody in Harrisburg.
Not totally, we work with PSBA,
Right.
and they do part of it, we do part of it,
Okay,
basically.
It's part of the service that you contracted
Right.
with.
okay.
I mean, you're paying PSBA for the policy service.
Let me interject. Part of the PSBA, the principles of governance and leadership, is to communicate clearly, to promote honest, open, respectful dialogue among the board, the staff, and the community. Encourage the input and the support for the district from the school committee. That's the public. Of course, protect confidentiality. And when you think about the broad philosophy of that, if other districts, other school districts in the Commonwealth are placing the attachments, which we see here, but the public does not see, then we are not communicating to the public. And as board directors, we work for the public. So my suggestion, and I'd like to piggyback on what Mr. Sennett stated, that with the original policy, or if it has to do with the budget, if it has to do with accounts payable, you put it up there, and then in addition, you would put what the recommended changes would be for this particular policy. And that would be the first reading. There are other school districts that have first, second, and third readings, because after the first reading, it goes out to the public. Well, what we're suggesting, and Mr. Hall, you know for a fact, for the past several years, I have asked the previous board and members of the board here to please communicate with information about the budget. That's how you get the information out. So what I'm saying is that if you want to be transparent, you follow the principles of governance and leadership. You attach the documents that we see, minus all confidentiality issues, to the agenda so that the public can actually see what we are seeing and that we are going to be voting on. And if other school districts could do it, why are we so special?
Are you suggesting just before the school board meeting or before the?
No, at every meeting. For instance, this meeting, all right, the committee of the whole, is where we look at specifics, personnel and policy, budget, etc. Give it to the public. Let the public look at what we are looking at. There are probably more intellectually astute citizens in this room right now, more than my intellect or my specific expertise. And I need your help. We need your help. And give us the feedback. That's how I would approach it.
If you're going to videotape